4.1. We've been at these Buildcasts, and we are starting our 4th year. So great to connect with all of you, our youth pastors, leaders in the Pendle District. We're glad to be here and glad to connect with you. Please, we're going to do a lot today as we talk about social media, reach, and engagement. And just want to encourage you, if you got questions, be sure to send them in through the chat wing. We are doing a Starbucks gift card giveaway in the next hour. And we are going to give that gift card away for the best engagement because we are going to talk about reach and engagement. So we're going to be giving it away for the best engagement, meaning ask questions. Get involved in the chat room there, and let us know what you're wondering, what you're curious about in social media. We'll try to get to those questions as we go. We got great guests with us today, and joining us for the first time live, usually you see him behind the scenes, is our marketing and media guy, Mark Geddes. Mark, welcome.
Hey, how we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. We're glad to have Mark. He's an awesome guy. He's going to be sharing with us a little bit later on some practical tools to help you in social media. Also joining us from Newark, Delaware, is our very good friend Ben Rivera, who's the sectional rep down there. Ben, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Hey, Ben.
Good to be here with everybody.
Cool. Well, we're glad to have you. Ben, for those of you who don't know Ben is an 18-year veteran youth pastor at the same church. He's our longest-serving youth pastor who's been at the same church in the district. So Ben's got a lot of wisdom to offer us today, and we look forward to hearing from him. And, of course, joining us, as always, our venerated district youth director, the Doug Sayers. How you doing, Doug?
Good. I don't know if venerated, if that's good or bad, but I'm glad to be here.
That's like Pope level. It's Pope level. So if you want to start a fight with Donald Trump,
yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
You go ahead and do it, okay? Build some bridges or walls or whatever you want to do there. But, you know, Doug, I recently heard you're going to be hosting a VIP day at UVF for juniors, seniors, I guess, in high school. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. We are excited about that moment because it's going to be a chance for us to hang out with students who are interested. Are your students thinking about going to college? And maybe it may not be the University of Valley Forge. It doesn't matter. If they've got college plans in their mind, in their heart, and they want to can have an opportunity to experience college for a day, it's going to be more than that. We're having a VIP day. They're going to be our VIPs there, and it's going to be a great moment. We're going to be meeting with the president of the university. We're going to have scholarship opportunities that they're going to be sharing with us. We're going to walk through finances, what that has to look like. They're going to have an opportunity to go to some different classes that they are interested in to be a part of that. There's going to be a lot of extras that are going to come because they get to hang out with the DYD of that day too, and so it's going to be fun while we are there. It's going to be April the 14th, and so you want to take and make sure that you're making plans for that to happen. And you can sign up for that at pendleyouth.com/VIP day. And so encourage your students to be a part of that. If you know students wanting to go, we would love to do that, to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's very good, and good opportunity to hang out with Doug and see UVF up close. Of course, today we're going to talk about building your social media, maximizing your reach and engagement. And, you know, one of the things about social media, it's not new, but it, you know, on the scale of human history, it's very new. But we're really talking about things that are really age-old underlying principles of leadership and communication. And Doug, I'd love for you to speak with us for a few minutes just about that, communication, leadership, marketing, and that kind of thing. So share some wisdom with us.
Hey, I would love to do that. You know, first of all, we got to talk about the evolution of communication because that's really where this thing basically comes from. As you know, we began with oral communication, but here's the cool part is we look at this slide here. We see that, first of all, we've got the written word. You know, the Phoenicians came up with the alphabet, and moving on to that, we got the Gutenberg press. And this became the movable type and the print medium of the day. And then we went to mass publications as we did that. And then we moved on to email and now Twitter and Periscope and of course then we've got Snapchat and all these things that are happening before us here. to just keep communication alive in front of us. But let's take a look at this historical look at this here. Human history is actually divided into three distinct communication eras according to Marshall Luckham and Harold Enos. The first era was the oral tradition, and it stretches from the time mankind first acquired speech to actually the beginning of literacy. And oral communication is what we still do with one another, we do within our families. But oral communication only lasts for about 3 generations, and then it is forgotten. We move from oral communication then to the second era, which is the age of literacy, which includes the period from in the invention of the writing to the discovery of electricity, which includes which first began with the advent of the written symbols, and second with the invention of the alphabet and all those things that happened. And then the third communication era is the electronic flow of information, and it covers actually the period from when the telegraph was first used in 1844 to the present. And you know, as we look at this, we see that there are different kind of mediums that have been used. We also see this in Scripture. Scripture also shows us that there are different mediums in which we're used, and I believe that we need to use different mediums in our communication styles as well. Some different mediums that Scriptures used was through the epistles, through letter writing, through the historical narratives, through parables. They communicated stories, and these stories normally illustrated a single point, but they were often used by Jesus in the Gospels. Mediums were used like poetry and prophecy and proverbs are still being used. We see examples of in Scriptures of how oral communication was used. I'm reminded in Joshua chapter 4. You remember when Joshua was encouraged by God for each tribe to take a stone and to build an altar with it. And he said to the people of Israel, when your children ask their fathers in times to come, what do these stones mean? Then you shall let your children know. You see, there was a passing on of information. And what were they passing on? They were passing on that God is mighty and that you may fear the Lord your God forever. For he had parted the Red Sea. He had parted the seas that day, and he continues to do that. There's also the medium of proclamation that we see in Scripture, and we've got to continue to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. We see in Romans 10, how can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? All through Scripture, we see the medium of ministry that is happening in communication. Communication is absolutely pivotal. But proclamation includes the digital communication that we're seeing today. How can we use these tools in leadership? It's important to communicate as leaders. There are 3 basic needs that every person has, and that's companionship, acceptance, and identification. And so as a leader, we need to learn to communicate on those 3 levels. We also need to learn to communicate as leaders on a professional level. We need to cast vision, give direction, and also celebrate wins for sure. Second of all, there's the importance of communication in marketing. Marketing is so important in today's medium. There's a gazillion options that people have today, but we need to create marketing strategies. Key elements of successful marketing strategies, it's really all about discovering the needs of what your audience has. And so to create a marketing strategy that makes the most of your strengths and matches them with the needs of the customers that you're wanting to target. Last of all, there's the importance of the contextualization in communication to leaders. And you see, if you want to be effective, you must go where your audience is. Today, that's social media. And I know you want to be effective in today's market. And so, Lee, before I turn it back to you, I just want you to know that digital media is not new. Digital media was actually used in Scripture. It's used in the Bible all the time. Do you know where the first tweet took place?
I do, but I'm going to let you.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
It actually wasn't a tweet.
It actually was, because in Daniel chapter 5, we see that God wrote with his finger, and it appeared on King Belshazzar's wall. There it was. He was tweeting on out to him.
He was, but it was
making...
actually Facebook wall.
Okay, you can call it a Facebook wall if you want. Okay, all right. Yeah.
All right, go on.
I'll give you that one.
I know you got some more.
I'll
Go
give
on,
you that
go on.
one. That one's actually, yeah. I take that correction there. There it is. I'm using tweet in the wrong context. Yeah. But, yeah.
The first tweet was Noah. He sent that bird out to see if there was dry land.
That was not a tweet.
Tweet.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, there was the second one as well. And the first video chat that happened in Acts chapter 8. You remember when Philip met with the eunuch and they were baptized, and all of a sudden, bam, he was translated there. Man, we had the first video chat that went on there. Communication. It's happening all through Scripture. So, Lee, I'm interested, man, to hear everything that you guys got, because we all need to improve our social presence, for sure.
Yeah, and really, I mean, when you look systematically, you take us through, they used oral communication, then they started writing it down, then they were Jesus, he's being this rabbi, using the communication medium of the day, Paul's in the synagogues. You could almost derive from Scripture that it is a principle of the people of God to engage culture in its medium of the day. And that's a big takeaway. We've got to communicate, and we've got to use the language and things that people are using. We want to kind of define the boundaries of our discussion today, as well as just give some terminology, some technical terms that can kind of help as we navigate this. First, when we talk about social media today, we're going to really be focusing on a couple platforms that the majority of students are using, and Mark will give us some of that information later. But you're talking Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. If you haven't seen Periscope, it was kind of big about a year ago. It's mellowed out, but it's still there. Snapchat, and of course, mass texting. Texting with students, and particularly we want to talk about that on a mass scale. How do we mass communicate? And we have really two technical terms that we're using to promote this: maximizing your reach and engagement. And when you talk about social media, these are two specific social media terms. Your reach is really when we talk about the breadth of your audience. How many people are you reaching? How many people are following you? How many people are having the ability to see your posts? So reach, think about reach as a broad thing. Engagement is depth. Engagement is, so how are the people I'm reaching responding to what I'm putting out there? And this is where, Dave Shimko was saying, so it's not the best engagement story, but the most questions. That is correct, because engagement, in this case, we're using a Starbucks giveaway to generate engagement. We want you involved. We want you asking questions. We want you responding to what we are putting out there today. So this is engagement, and really this is, your reach is good, but as a pastor, as a church, a youth pastor, your reach should really be parents, students, these people who are your primary concern. You can have a broader reach in the community, but your engagement especially, you want engagement from this core group. You want good depth there. So that's kind of where we are, and then I want to talk about types of posts, types of social media posts, types of things, and Doug hit on some of this a little bit as well. Of course, people post all kinds of things all the time on social media. What they're doing, they post, of course, there's the selfie, there's opinions. Just yesterday I was tagged in an opinion about Donald Trump. I don't know why, but that happened on Facebook. But when it comes to pastoral use of social media, we really want to focus professionally, pastorally on 4 types of posts. And this would be our typology for social media. First kind of post, Doug hit on marketing. Hey, don't forget about this event. Don't forget about this service. Don't forget about this that's going to be happening. Second kind of post, that is very important pastorally. Inspirational posts. You're posting a scripture, a quote from an author, lines from sermons. And this is in addition, of course, to your marketing. Third kind of post is the relational posts. This is where you're having fun on social media with your students. You're tagging them. You're responding as well to what they're putting up. And the fourth kind of post would be the encouraging post. Here's where you're giving students shout-outs. You're really bragging on them. You're encouraging them in their walk, or you're encouraging them in the successes that they've had, or you know, maybe they're sick, and so you're putting up a post and you're encouraging them to get well, something like this. And these really are the four kinds of. Of course, there's many other kinds of posts, but pastorally, we really need to say, how do we strike a balance between these posts? Because if we're all marketing, that's detrimental to our engagement. And if we're all one thing or another, it's not terribly helpful. So speaking of you know, engagement and marketing, we're actually using social media to promote youth convention. And you've seen some of that, but Mark, tell us how that's working.
Yeah. So, like we said, reach is big. Engagement is really where you get your results. It's really where you see a return on your investment in your time and your investment in the effort that you're putting in. We're doing for a convention. We believe that convention can be an outreach experience. We believe that this is a huge, awesome, bright, loud event that students should have absolutely no problem inviting their friends to. And so we've been doing a push on Instagram. I hope you've seen it. If you haven't, we're giving away an Apple Watch to a student. So we have these invite cards. We posted a post that looks like this invite card right here. You're invited to the best weekend ever. And our challenge to students is to repost this on Instagram, but not just repost it, tag 3 friends with that post that they want to see go to youth convention. 3 friends from school, 3 friends from a sports team, 3 friends that they hang out with, 3 friends that don't know Jesus, maybe. We want to see 3 friends, brand new friends, come to youth convention and have their life changed. But that's just the minimum of the challenge. And that's kind of what the rules are. All the rules are on our Instagram account, on that post. There's a lot of details in there. They have to use 2 specific hashtags. And one of the things that we are excited to announce today is that if your student wins the Apple Watch giveaway, and I actually have it right here, like I'm holding it in my hand. So if your student wins the Apple Watch giveaway at youth convention, as their youth pastor, you are going to win an Apple Watch as well. So that's a little incentive for you to get your students to believe in this. I've actually got one on my wrist right now, so you could walk out of youth convention with an Apple Watch on your wrist and a student with an Apple Watch on their wrist. But more importantly, you could walk out of youth convention with a couple dozen students who you didn't have as part of your group before. And that's, we this is an incentive. A watch on your wrist is an incentive, but the biggest incentive is really seeing students that don't know Jesus come and be a part of this and come and be a part of youth convention. So we are posting some more today. We're going to post a couple more opportunities for students to get extra entries into the giveaway using selfies. All the details are going to be on our Instagram feed, but if you tune into this Buildcast right now, then you know kind of ahead of the rest of the youth pastors that you can win your own Apple Watch with this. So I hope that's a little bit of a motivator. What do you think, Lee?
I think Apple Watches were on sale about a week or 2 ago, and so they were $100 off. So we searched around, we found 2 at Target, and we ran over there to get those on-sale Apple Watches for this giveaway. And Mark had to open one of them in order to get the pictures and film it, and then, as I understand it, he
hasn't taken it off yet.
He gave it a name, he cuddled with it, and turns out Mark is the owner of a brand new Apple Watch, which he has to reimburse me for, and we had to go find another one on sale because he couldn't give it up. True story, right, Mark?
True story, yeah.
True story. So I don't have an Apple Watch yet, and I'm not sure whether I'll get one or not, but we know that's the hot item. right now for giveaways. And when we talk about giving stuff away as a marketing idea, I don't think it's too far removed from some of the things Jesus did. He gave away food, he multiplied stuff, he healed people. He did really outrageous things to draw in crowds to hear the message. And I'm not sure an Apple Watch would heal anybody, but we want to use that to draw them in to hear the message that's presented. Ben Rivera is going to be sharing very practically with us strategies, goals, and things like this. When we thought about youth pastors who are using social media well, we weren't looking necessarily for the best designers or artistic posts, but really who's consistently using social media to get the message out there. And there's several of you who are doing that. But Ben is a trusted friend, longtime veteran of Pendel Youth Ministries, and longtime sectional rep, now in his second round serving as sectional rep. Ben, thanks for being with us. Talk to us a little bit about strategies, goals, kind of big picture ideas of how you view the use of social media in your youth ministry.
Well, thanks, Lee. It's with everybody. And first thing I want to say is by no means an expert on this, but just trying to use what's available to reach a generation. And so when we sat down and we talked about some of the ideas of this event, this time together, we talked about what are some of our goals with social media as a ministry. And a lot of them reflect some of the things you already talked about, Lee. The things we're looking to do as a ministry here in Delaware and encouraging our students to be a part of is, first thing we want to do is we just want to connect with people. We want to connect with students. We want to connect with parents. We want to connect with anyone and everyone we can and let them know that we're here as a ministry and what our ministry is about. We obviously want to promote things. We want to promote whether it's district events or our own personal events. We want to encourage. We also want to challenge students. And we want to remind them of events that are coming up. So when you talk about, what are our goals with social media, what do we want to accomplish, kind of encapsulated in those areas of that I just mentioned. Then talking about, what's our strategy? Our strategy is we want to use anything and everything that's available that we can use. And so this may sound old school, but we will still use email from time to time because I've got parents I'm trying to connect with that are not on social media, and we want them to be aware of what's going on. But in addition to that, we're absolutely using Facebook. We're using Instagram and Twitter. We're texting our students as well. We also have a website, and then we'll also go low tech as well with handing out hard copies of stuff, putting stuff in the hands of students. But all of that tying back to the social media aspect, where we want to make sure that we're keeping things fresh. We're keeping things current with our students as far as what's happening in our ministry, a new verse. And then one of the things that's doing for myself and my leaders is it's causing us to stay current in things like our reading and our study and stuff like that. We also talked about preparing for this. What does that plan look like practically? And one of my challenges for me is not getting overwhelmed by the whole social media thing. It seems like there's always a new format, there's always a new area that's being used, and I don't want to get caught up in spending too much time doing this at the expense of the other things I'm called to do, studying, preparing messages. So I personally spend maybe 1 to 3 hours a week in this area, and that varies on the given week and what activities we have going on. And that time is spent doing things like getting pictures together, editing. I'm a big proponent of being very careful what I post, and so I'll often write something and then I'll step back and walk away, come back, look at it again, rewrite it, re-edit it, just getting that copy together to really get the point across in a concise way. And then obviously the posting. I know Mark and some of those are going to talk later about some tools that can be used, and I'm personally Looking forward to hearing about how I can use some tools out there to make my job easier in that area, rather than just, okay, I'm posting to Facebook and now Instagram and now Twitter, but really looking forward how I can use those resources to do a better job of getting our message out there. So, just kind of summing up this part of it in a nutshell, again, our goal is to just use whatever resources available to us to reach students and not be overwhelmed. Because I'll be honest with you, when I first started in youth ministry, I was actually using clip art. Cutting and pasting something on a calendar or for an event, or handing out paper, and then we moved up to digital art, and that made life a little bit easier. But I'm just loving the time we live in right now, even with its challenges of being able to just get new information out in an expedient way to students while it's still fresh and relevant. So that's just kind of some of my big picture thoughts on what we're doing, how we do it, why we're doing it, and we'll talk a little bit more later about some of the practical things that we're doing using social media. So with that, I'll just give it back to Lee, and I know he's got some comments about exponential.
Yeah, and Ben, when I started in 1999 as a youth pastor, I had the specialties Mega Pack clip art CD, which was, I wasn't physically cutting and pasting, but things have surely moved around. Ben, before we move past this, Pastor Rafe from Enola. If you don't know where Enola and River of God Church is, it sits up against the mountain almost outside of Harrisburg, and they draw a lot of students from rural Perry County, which is around here. We talk about Perry County like most of the world talks about West Virginia. And he says 90% of his students are not interested in social media. So he asks, how do you get them to care about social media? But maybe a good question really is, how are you connecting? Are you connecting beyond social media for your goals? The reminding and the marketing and the inspiring and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We can address that. It seems like every area has got that place they kind of talk about. Here in Delaware, we call it slower lower, and that's any place south of the canal here in Delaware. But in talking about that those numbers, 90% not interested in social media, you really can't force them obviously to do that. So in finding other ways, just thinking back to some of the things I did and still do to this day to engage students in a real world interaction and stuff. One of the things I love to do is I love to take pictures at youth events and get them printed out. I know a lot of us don't do that anymore. Our computers are filled with all these files of pictures, but get hard copies of pictures, and I'll send those actual pictures out as postcards to the students as an encouragement, glad you were at the event, or a reminder of an event that's coming up. So that's one way. And then again, we still keep a good supply of materials on hand that we can just put into the hands of whether it be a visitor or students for their own personal use or to hand out to their friends. Everything from the convention invite cards, though we did promote that on social media, we had a stack on hand that kids could take and hand out. So it really is keeping those supplies well stocked for kids to have access to.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, again, it's whatever your communication strategy goals are, social media really is the medium. One of the mediums, and we still need to be active in other ways. I used to do the same thing. Back when we'd have a visitor come in, Ben, to a youth group for the first time, we'd get a picture together, and and we'd print that out and send that as a the visitor kind of follow-up card. We'd send that to their physical address, and that's valuable. So it's very good. Pastor Keith Griner from Newport Assembly. No offense about Perry County, I love you up there, and Juniata County too. So I do want to talk for a moment, and we're going to take just a break and then dive back in and get into some real practical things with Ben on social media tips, the results he's seeing, and things like that. But I want to take a moment just to invite all of our youth pastors and leaders to consider being a part of the Exponential Leadership Cohort for the year 2016. And Exponential is a cohort for the missional youth pastor. It's all about missional discipleship, equipping students to reach students at school and beyond. And if you're not engaging in missional discipleship, or you feel like you're not at the level you'd like to be, or you'd like to brush up on your skills, this would be a great cohort for you. The cohort runs from March. We start next month, our first meeting online in a Google Hangout, not too different from this. And we meet mostly online throughout the year. We've got a retreat together on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday in April. And we read 3 or 4 books together, craft out sermon series together, work on a number of different projects together. Great way to connect with other youth pastors in the district and develop those relationships. But Exponential Cohort is all about growing in your leadership and ministry skills to empower a generation to reach their mission field, the public school, the homeschool, whatever that school system is that they're involved in. And it's the first of its kind in the nation, and we've even seen a lot of other Youth Alive guys begin to develop their own kind of leadership development stuff around that. So it's been really great, and we encourage you to be a part of that. You can get the information on reachtheschool.com/exponential. reachtheschool.com/exponential. And if you have any questions, you can email me, Facebook me, tweet me, right on my wall. Don't tweet on my wall. That doesn't work. Whatever. Give me a call. You can shoot me a text too. So let's hop back in with Ben at this point. And Ben, you know, we kind of hit strategy, goals, big picture stuff, and ultimately our use of whatever medium, social media otherwise, needs to align with those strategy and goals. But talk to us a little bit about practical tips. You know, what kind of results are you seeing? What kind of stories do you have? What are you using to create content? How much time are you spending? Stuff like that.
Well, in the area of practice, one of the first things I want to say is, it's a really good idea to try to work to have a common name across mediums. You don't want to have a Twitter name, one Twitter name, and then another on Instagram. It just makes it easier for the kids. And just something we did, and I'll just kind of flash it up there for the camera, is we just put together some cards that they're basically magnets, and on there what we did was we just put our information out there, where we could be found on Facebook, where we could be, our Instagram name and all that kind of stuff, and we've kept it the same across the board, and we're just PowerlineYM@gmail. On Instagram, we're at PowerlineYM, and that's just a little thing that can make it easy for students to find you and know that that's you, that's out there. In addition, talk about what results are we seeing, and what are some of the benefits of using social media. Number one, less people saying I didn't know. When everything is kept in a central location, a youth room or whatever, kids don't show up for youth group, or you don't see kids, you lose that contact. But through social media, we're able to stay connected with kids that maybe we haven't seen in a few weeks or in a couple of months, or kids that even have moved away, and that's been a great asset. So again, people are less saying I don't know less often. It's easier to pass along info to friends. All you have to do is tag someone, as with the Apple giveaway, tag some friends in there, and they'll get that info, or pass or share that information. And then the idea of making our world a little bit smaller. Ministry can be a challenge, trying to reach kids in different schools and with different schedules. But with social media, that really does shrink our world. As a matter of fact, one of my former students is now tuned in with us from Thailand, listening to this session from Thailand. He's there serving and working, and we've been able to connect through social media. And then the idea of getting more people involved. And a practical story I'd love to share with you, all of you, is if you know me at all, I've got a passion for missions and for Speed the Light, and we've taken social media and we've tied that into a current thing we're doing with Speed the Light, and we've got a project. We're working with Free International, working towards a project there, and so we made a video and we put that on our YouTube channel and linked that in through various Facebook and through Twitter and Instagram. And with that, you know, we've also given access to online giving through our church for that project. And I'm excited to say that just in a couple of weeks, between in-house, real live giving and online through the social media aspect of promoting it, we've passed the $900 mark in just a couple of weeks towards that project. And so that's one very real way that social media has been making an impact in our ministry right here at Praise. What do I use for content? All kinds of things. I'm by no means an expert, and I'll try stuff, and maybe some of the things I'll suggest you've tried and they're not working, or you've got better ideas, please share them with me. But just what we're doing when we do promo videos, we'll use iMovie a lot. We love just using their trailers, quick and easy templates we can plug into. For texting, we've been using Remind 101. It's basically a teacher app, but one of the things that we love about it is it allows us to create groups such as, you know, we've got a fine arts convention group, we've got a worship team group, we've got a leadership group, and we can text through that. When it comes to pictures, one thing I'm always doing is I'm always on the lookout for good pictures. A funny shot, a screen capture I can get and just kind of store in my phone for later use. So my brain's always kind of working in that regard. And then I'll use a pretty inexpensive app called Photoshop. And what that allows me to do is allows me to add text to pictures, helps me to do editing. You know, you can cut a face out and put it on someone else and create some funny pictures that way. For Bible quotes, just YouVersion. YouVersion within their app has an application there that you can take a verse and post it on a background, and we'll use that for posting. We'll use Connect to enable me to do email groups from my iPhone. And then just an app I found, just kind of funny app, it's called Jabbermouth. And what that does, it gives you a picture, and then what you do is it'll film your mouth in a picture, and then you'll be able to post that as an announcement. You know, we've used Mr. T in the past, you know, and others, I Pity the Fool and SpongeBob and stuff like that you can use to make announcements better. And then last but not least, just borrowing wherever I can. You know, why reinvent the wheel? One of the most popular videos we did was for our Turkey Bowl last year, and we borrowed the Snow Day video from Nike and added some stuff of our own, and that was a big hit with people. And then as far as, you know, the idea of, you know, employing others, that's one area I think that in the area of social media, because it can become overwhelming, there's so many platforms, we need to get as many people involved, and we're doing that, and we're not where we want to be yet. You know, on Facebook we have people that have access, they can post pictures and that kind of stuff, obviously. And we use students in filming and editing video as well. And it doesn't always come out the way I want, but, you know, try to give them parameters and help them to take ownership and run with those things, and continue tweaking, working through that process. So, but again, that's an area where we're really looking to do some more in getting more students involved in using those areas as well. So Lee.
Very good. Yeah, excellent. And we did have some questions I just put in the chat as well about Remind. And there are multiple mass texting systems. Remind is free. It is designed for teachers, and teachers can put their different classrooms on there and kind of just say, send out homework reminders, stuff like that. But right now they're not screening for non-teachers, so you can use it for your youth group. You give your students a number to text to join kind of the mass texting group. They can also download the Remind app and get stuff right in the app. But it's multi-platform, so you can use the web to send out your mass texting. You can use your app on your phone to send out a mass text, stuff like that. So there's a number of different things for that. But yeah, awesome, Ben. Thank you. And you know, one of the things I know with Ben is, as a veteran youth pastor, one of the things I appreciate about him is Ben values youth camp, and is at youth camp every year, bringing students, and we always have an awesome time. And we do want to take just a minute to give a message about camp. And Doug, we are really looking forward to another great year of camps coming up this summer.
Absolutely, and we are as well. Camp is going to be awesome. It's we've got 2 great weeks that are available, and that is June 20th through the 24th, and then June 27th through July the 1st. And the camp this summer is the theme we're running with is I Dare You. And we are going to have so much fun just with that theme right there, I Dare You. But the most challenging part here is when it comes to connecting students and daring students to give their lives fully to Christ and to follow Christ for that. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with these things, but the message out there is I dare you for your students is I dare you to live for Jesus. I dare you to find and be filled with the Holy Spirit. I dare you to walk in the Spirit. I dare you to share Christ with your friends. And so through fun and worship and challenging messages, there's going to be an incredible week of life change that's going to go on. And so you know what, leaders? I dare you to bring your students this summer to camp. Bring your students and let Jesus change and renew them inside and out.
Yeah, awesome. We love camp and encourage everybody to think about that. There's nothing like it. We had a lot of great questions come in here, Snapchat questions, guidelines for working with students on social media. These are matters really of serious concern. And I'm so glad to have Mark Geddes with us. And, of course, Mark is full-time here at the district office in the youth department as the creative media and marketing lead for the youth department. But Mark's going to just share some tools and some kind of guidelines for us on a lot of these different topics that we're talking about. So thanks, Mark, for being with us.
Yeah, awesome. So let's talk about some tools, first of all, how to create your content. You know, talking to Ben and just kind of listening to how he does things, you don't want to be a full-time content creator. You want to focus on spending time with students, investing in students, building great messages, building awesome services. This shouldn't be a full-time, you know, responsibility. It should be easy. And so there are a lot of tools out there, a lot of apps out there that can make it easy. Ben talked about some that he uses. I've got a list. I'm going to rattle these off. And then in comments below, and when we repost this later today in the Facebook wall, all the links are going to be there, you know, what I'm going to talk about. So for photo editing, you take a picture, you want it to look a little bit better, whatever, you don't want to use an Instagram filter. I use ViscoCam, VSCO. That's kind of like our go-to. At all of our events, we're using ViscoCam. We're putting most of the stuff that we shoot at events through that before it goes up on to Instagram. Google has a app called Snapseed. Snapseed's pretty cool because you can select different areas of the photo. I know a lot of times, like in church or services, like your screens are going to look really blown out, or the person on stage is going to look really blown out. But you can't have, you know, both looking good. So Snapseed helps to say, I want to select this area and I want to make it darker or brighter or whatever. That's really helpful. The goal here is to not have to take it to a computer. The goal is to not have to know, or have to use Photoshop. The goal is quick turnaround. So this is something that, you know, oh, I'm going sit down at lunch, or I have 5 minutes. I can really quick do something. These are the kind of tools we want to put in your hand. So another photo editing program is Afterlight. Basically, all these do the same thing. They give you tools to edit photos. They, you know, Instagram has a lot more built in now, even. But I'm kind of giving you options so that you can go through, explore, figure out what you like, figure out what works best for you. But again, trying to keep it all inside your mobile device so that you don't have to go and open something else, or, you know, export, or you don't have all that hassle. So let's talk about graphics, making graphics, putting text on top of pictures. Typic Pro, Typic Pro is like, I think it's like a $2 app on the App Store. It's amazing. It's seriously like a couple lines of text, a couple different fonts. If you have a logo for your youth ministry in a .png format, and this is kind of, you know, super detailed, but if you have that logo, you can actually upload it and then have it to access to always overlay, like if you like to watermark all your pictures or something like that with your brand. So Typic Pro, it's worth it to, you know, there's going to be in-app purchases in any of these, you know, buy more fonts, buy more filters, buy more design elements. That's how they make their money. But if you get the free version and you like it with any of these apps, you say, you know what, this is an investment to buy 99 cents for all these other fonts. This is really going to help me. Another app is called Fonta, F-O-N-T-A. That's another great mobile app. It's a little bit more basic than Typek Pro, but it helps you do more things with the font that Typek won't let you do. If you like those really wide tracking fonts where there's a lot of space between each letter, Fonta is really good for that kind of thing. A lot of like opacity, messing around, making the overlays look really good. Next up is WordSwag. WordSwag, if you make something in WordSwag, it looks like you made it in WordSwag, but it looks really cool. So if you like WordSwag and you invest in WordSwag, you're going to get a really cool result. It's going to look like WordSwag, but it's going to be really good. So there's nothing wrong with that. I know a couple people who use WordSwag to actually make their sermon graphics. So they'll use WordSwag and they'll export each one of those as full-size JPEGs, and they'll put it on their screens as their sermon graphics because it's going to make it look very typography. So big letters, small letters, big words, bold, skinny, like all this stuff, and you can just kind of go through and set it up that way. So it's kind of that really trendy, typography look. So that's WordSwag. Like I said, though, it's going to look like WordSwag. So. And then Letterglow. The last one is Letterglow. So these are just the 4 for graphics making. Again, just like the photo editing, these apps all basically do the same thing. They put text on top of pictures. But you're going to find what you like and what you like to work with. A lot of these have a free version, so you can try out the free version, and then I like this. This is what I want to use. And then my last one, I want to talk about GIFs. For creation. GIFs are super fun, and Twitter supports GIFs, Facebook supports GIFs. If you pronounce them GIF, you are wrong. Go home, you're wrong. They're pronounced GIF.
Whatever.
Anyway, GIF is a peanut butter. But yeah, GIFs are awesome, and so there's 3 great apps for GIFs. There's one called GiphyCam, G-I-P-H-Y Cam, and that's like you take a video and it turns it into a GIF for you, and then you can export that and add text or whatever. There's one called 5S GIF or 5-second GIF. Same kind of deal. You take a video from your camera roll, or you take a video with the app, add text, pick a speed, how many times it's going to loop. So maybe you're at an event or you're doing some kind of dodgeball thing, and a student gets like smacked in the face, or it's like they're acting crazy out in the field or whatever, and it's funny. You can take that and capitalize on that moment and say for your next event, hey, here's a really fun GIF I can put up on Twitter. It's just a fun thing to do. And then the last one is called Burstio, B-U-R-S-T-I-O. I'm gonna put these all up on the Facebook wall. And Lee's I think adding some in the comments. I'm not sure, but Burstio is cool because if you have an iPhone, Android users, sorry Dave Brock, I don't know if this is gonna work for you, but if you have an iPhone like the rest of us. That was a call out. If you have an iPhone and you open your camera up and you just hold down the shutter button, it takes what's called a burst mode photo, and it just bam, 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 it's going to take 1 billion photos. You can actually open those up in Burstio and turn them into a GIF. So,
but I can do that on my Droid, and it's twice the resolution.
So, yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if it works on Android. I don't know if any of these work on Android because, there we go. Shots fired. There you go, Ryan. So yeah, and you guys are commenting, what you guys like to use. There's so many apps out there that can do this. This is just what I've used at the district here and when I was doing local youth ministry day in and day out, and they're easy to use. They're easy to use, and that's the goal. So the second half of that is if you have a student that is good at this stuff or gets it or you trust or they're in a leadership role, a $10 iTunes gift card to give them and say buy these specific apps or buy these specific in-app purchases can be one of the best investments you can make, because then you have a student who's going to be helping you do all this stuff, and you can text them, this is the information I need to get out, I want it to look good, go. And they're empowered, they're taking a leadership role in your youth ministry, they're getting involved, it's super fun, it's super cool, and they're going to speak the language of their generation, and it's going to be a lot easier and a lot quicker for them to do that. So something as easy as, hey, service is canceled tonight, I need you to take here's a picture of the church with snow in front of it, can you make a good graphic and turn it around in 5 minutes? And they can take that and run with it, and then you get to focus on doing whatever you need to do. And so it helps to empower a student if you're, if that's the route you want to take. It's an awesome thing. Just talking about convention, just convention social media. We have a team of 4 people handling social media at convention. My wife heads up that team. Everything that I'm telling you, she knows more than I do about social media, and that's just how it is. I gotta give credit where credit is due. She's awesome with that, and so she heads up a team, and they're covering every Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. They're covering all of those platforms to keep engagement high. So if it's something that you really want to do and do well, these are great tools, but again, investing in a student and empowering a student that you trust and leading them and guiding them and discipling through that has so much of a return because they're going to help you out with that. I know that I'm going a little long here, but I do want to talk about Snapchat. Is that okay, Lee?
Yeah, and talk to us about the platforms in general, and then it's fluid, but what's the general usage? And then we had some questions about Snapchat. Is it a no-no? Some youth pastors are full on Snapchat. We have, in the past, given extreme warnings about using Snapchat. But Snapchat, we're going to change our posture on that because Snapchat's made some changes. We're not completely changing our position, but we are saying with certain ways you can use it, it may be okay. Talk to us a little bit about that, Mark.
Absolutely. So let's just go through the stats really quick. This is Pew Research Center, ages 13 to 17 in 2015. Here's a study they did. 71% of students are on Facebook. A lot of people will tell you Facebook's dead. Facebook is not dead. It's just not that cool anymore. So
it's full of people who are closer to being dead, right? But it's not dead itself.
I mean, I was gonna say if your grandma's on Facebook, it's not cool anymore. But then Lee said that, so I don't want to say anything. And then Instagram is 52%, and then 41% is Snapchat. Other sources say it's higher. Twitter's 33%, Vine, Tumblr, they kind of fall underneath that. Google Plus is in there, but let's get real. No one's using Google. We're using Google Plus right now to do this Hangout because it's free. But other than that, no.
And we should say too, this is reach stats. 74% of students are on Facebook, but if you talk to a lot of them, they'll say, I never check my Facebook. So it's not engagement stats, it's reach stats.
It's important to keep that in context. It's really important to keep that in context. It's really the easiest thing that you can do is in your student ministry, start having conversations. What's the first social media app you're checking all the time? What are you always checking? Ask students, do a poll, do whatever. Just talk to people as they're walking in the door. What are you always opening? Because it is hard to manage for, even as a student, you don't want to check 4 platforms all the time. So in the past, we've been pretty against Snapchat. A lot of youth ministries have been. 2 years ago, I said Snapchat is not for youth ministry, and I stood by that statement. They've done a lot of changes. The 1-for-1 is still there, but they've published what's called their story. So when you post on Snapchat, you can post to your story, which is viewable for 24 hours. So you post something to Snapchat, it goes to your story, it's viewable for 24 hours, and the best thing to do in youth ministry is publish your Snapchat handle on your screens, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, whatever, but don't actually become friends with anyone on Snapchat or follow students on Snapchat. Don't become, when you open up the app, you can swipe left, and you can see all of the individual messages that you've sent and received, or you can swipe to the right and see everyone's story. And that's kind of the safe zone of Snapchat. That's kind of where we want to be. And we're investing in it for convention really heavy. We're going to be having a couple different people kind of running our Snapchat and pre-show and service and the different late night activities. So it's always going to be big and hopping. And we're actually going to be having our own geo filters for convention this year. So depending on where you are at convention, there'll be a Snapchat filter kind of going along with wherever you are or whatever you're doing. And we're excited about that. We tested it out last night. It's some really cool stuff to just, be relevant and be engaging. Here's the thing with Snapchat. If a missionary goes to a foreign country and they don't want to learn the language because there's swear words in it, they're missing out. And so we kind of think the same thing with Snapchat. Yeah, there's a dangerous side to it, and you have to be really careful, and you have to really know the platform. But you can really engage people with it.
And a general principle, and maybe I think somebody might have asked about general principles communicating. Always we must keep in mind, we make relationships with these students. We got to keep in mind they're minors, and this is a crazy world we live in. And we used to say avoid Snapchat because it was one-to-one and there was no record, and a student could accuse you of anything in Snapchat. And this is kind of where we're softening our position, because the general rule of communication on social media is one-to-many for youth pastor. In other words, if you're sending out a private message through Facebook, send it to multiple students. And with Snapchat, you're broadcasting this message to multiple people at a time. It's not one-to-one. Am I saying that right, Mark?
Yeah, you are. It's not a one-to-one. If you swipe over to the left side, that's the one-to-one. That's where people can send you messages, but really only if you're friends. So you want to stay on that right side, and that's where your story exists, and that's what's important. You can't upload graphics to your story, so you got to make them in the app. So all those apps I just talked about aren't going to work with Snapchat. You've got to make them, draw them with their little pencil. You can add text, but it's okay because people know that stuff on Snapchat isn't really there to look amazing. It's there to be quick and fun and then go away. So that's kind of what you're doing with it. It's just to be really fun and engaging.
Real quick, I want to talk about social media for the busy youth pastor, the busy volunteer. Yesterday I was on a staff meeting, and with some great leaders, and some of them have said, I just haven't engaged much. I don't have time. Neither do I. I don't have time to take a picture everywhere I go and post it. I don't have time to even research a lot of these platforms. So social media for the busy youth pastor is all about automation and scheduling. There's a couple apps that can help you with that. We know, of course, not a lot of high schoolers, middle schoolers are using Twitter, but if you're using Twitter yourself and it's pushing to your Facebook, a great app that you can get on your phone or use through a web interface is called Hootsuite. Hootsuite, one word, Hootsuite. Hootsuite. And Hootsuite will allow you to schedule your tweets. And if you've got the Twitter connected to the Facebook, then it's pushing all that through. If you saw anything before this, if you saw my social media, I used Hootsuite to send out an hour before, a half an hour before, 15 minutes before, 10 minutes before, and then at 10, Hootsuite pushed a tweet that said we were live. So I didn't push all the tweets leading up to Buildcast that pushed to my Facebook. I used Hootsuite and scheduled them in a minute or two, and that took care of that. Another great, there's more than one now, but there used to only be one platform for scheduling Instagram posts, and it's called Schedugram. There's another one now. What's it called, Mark?
You know what? I actually have it saved. You got to come back to me.
We don't have experience with the new one, but Instagram's been very tightly controlling with their system, their code, and it used to be the way it basically works is you have to have a device that you're posting from with Instagram. So automation has never worked for Instagram because it's not coming from a unique device, an iPhone, a Droid, whatever. Well, Schedugram is an Australian company. It costs about $10 a month. They bill you in Australian dollars, so it changes a little bit every month. But my conversion rate is about $10 a month that it costs me. And it's a web-based interface, and they actually have a device for every person who signs up with Schedugram. And so I schedule my Schedugram post through the web interface, and their devices push it when I tell it that I want it pushed. We use Schedugram a lot with Youth Alive when we're doing like our 30-day challenges and stuff like that. So we schedule those kind of Instagrams that way. And again, it's kind of that thing, and you can push to Twitter. Another great automation scheduling is a website called If This Then This, or If This Then That. And if this then that, or if this then this is, it's basically triggering things to happen. So it says if I post to Twitter, send to Facebook. If I post to Facebook, send to Twitter. And it kind of basically it monitors your accounts for triggering moments and elements that you program it for. And it's if this then this, ifttt.com. ifttt.com. And that's another one that can be helpful to you to automate. And I would say finally, one of the most effective ways to save time for the busy youth pastor or leader is mentoring with interns, students who are good at this, getting them on, like Mark said, give them a Google Store, Google Play thing. Maybe you feel like you don't understand the platform or the whole concept, so you can't have an intern do it for you. It's not true. Very popular today is what we call reverse mentoring. Get a student, they're going to know how to do it, and let them teach you. It's called reverse mentoring. You're still the boss, okay? They still respect your relationship as a leader, but you can learn probably more from them than teach them on these issues. And so that's another great way. You know, I could say to our Youth Alive intern, Cammie, hey, we need 30 graphics for our Pray Together challenge. We need 30. We're getting ready to push out a new initiative coming up at Youth Convention, and I just put her on a task to get me 30, 35 images. And so that can really just be another way to save you a lot of time. Well, we've got a giveaway of a Starbucks gift card. And we are going to give that card away to Rosemarie Knopfs from Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, who's been just very active today in the chat room. So, Rosemarie, thanks for being a part. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we're just going to take and get a last word, a 20-second or less last word on this topic from everybody, and then we need to sign off and get going. We thank you for spending this last hour with us. Ben, give us your last word.
My last word is don't get overwhelmed or try to do it all at once. It's better to use one or two platforms a lot than try to have all these platforms that you're not really using at all, because you'll just confuse people and they'll get turned off.
Very good. Mark, last word?
I would just say, you know, keep investing in students. They're the ones that speak the language the best. And all the stuff we are talking about, we're posting on the Facebook wall. So hopefully that helps you guys.
Doug, last word.
Hey, I love that. Engage your students in this process. Leaders, don't get overwhelmed by it. Get your students involved in helping you, encouraging it, and they'll do a great job communicating with their peers.
Very good. And my last word is there's a great primer for social media tips and strategy, and it's by Natalie Getz. And this is a book she put together with just tips. Now, this really focused towards the individual as somebody using social media, not necessarily organization or marketing per se, but she's got great tips on posting, mistakes that you might be making, stuff like that. And it's a PDF digital download from her Etsy store. And on Etsy, she is.
We're just gonna put the link right in the.
We'll put the link in the Facebook, and I found this yesterday because Natalie posted about it, and I came in and I said, Mark, why didn't you tell us about this? But Mark wasn't wanting to, try to bias his position. But this is a great $10 buy. It'll send it to you right away. You can download it right away through PDF. And social media tips and strategy. I printed mine out. Got the datters to sign it for me. So that's my last word. We want to thank everybody for being a part of this. God bless you. And this will be archived. And you can get that at resources.pendellyouth.com to watch it again. Thanks.
Take care, man.